Biography 3, Fyodor Dostoevsky, The Human Psyche. Fyodor Mikhailovich Dostoevsky was born on November 11, 1821, in Moscow, Russia, during a time of deep social divisions and strict political control. His father, a stern army doctor, instilled discipline and order, while his mother, gentle and caring, opened his mind to the world of literature by reading him Russian and European classics. As the second son in a large family of 7 children, young Fyodor grew up in an atmosphere where books and storytelling were central to daily life. These early influences shaped his imagination and gave him a unique sensitivity to the struggles of human beings, both in body and in soul. Dostoevsky came of age during the mid-19th century, a turbulent period in Russian history. Russia was ruled under the rigid hand of the Tsarist regime, and intellectual circles were stirring with radical new ideas. Political dissent was suppressed, censorship was severe, and yet reform movements began to emerge, especially with the looming emancipation of the serfs in 1861. Writers, thinkers, and philosophers debated morality, science, and the future of society. Dostoevsky absorbed this atmosphere of conflict, and his works became a mirror of his era, exploring not only social problems, but also the deepest psychological and spiritual struggles of human existence. His path to becoming a writer was not straightforward. After his schooling, Dostoevsky attended the Nikolaev Military Engineering Institute in St. Petersburg, where he studied mathematics and engineering. Although he later worked briefly as an engineer, he felt pulled toward literature with irresistible force. The works he had devoured in childhood continued to inspire him, and he soon left behind the stability of an engineering career to follow his passion for writing. This leap of faith, filled with both risk and hope, marked the beginning of his lifelong mission to explore human nature through the art of the novel. The results of this choice were extraordinary. Dostoevsky went on to produce some of the greatest works of world literature. Notes from Underground introduced new psychological depth to fiction. Crime and Punishment probed the torment of guilt and the search for redemption. The Idiot and Demons questioned morality and the dangers of ideology. And his final masterpiece, The Brothers Karamazov, stands as a monumental exploration of faith, justice, and the human condition. These works reshaped literature, combining gripping storytelling with philosophical and spiritual inquiry, influencing psychology, theology, and modern philosophy itself. But Dostoevsky was not only a brilliant writer, he was also a man tormented by personal struggles. He suffered from epilepsy, which sometimes struck him during moments of great emotional pain. He battled a gambling addiction that drove him into debt, forcing him to write under immense pressure just to survive. Yet his compassion for the suffering of others never faded. His novels reflect a man who understood despair, but also believed deeply in redemption, in empathy, and in the strength of the human spirit. His life was also marked by one of the most dramatic events in literary history. In 1849, Dostoevsky was arrested for involvement with the Petrashevsky Circle, a group of intellectuals accused of spreading banned political ideas. He was sentenced to death, but at the last moment his punishment was commuted, replaced by 4 years in a Siberian prison camp, followed by 6 years of military exile. That near-death experience transformed him. It deepened his faith, his compassion, and his understanding of human suffering, themes that would later define his masterpieces. Dostoevsky's impact on the world is immeasurable. Sigmund Freud admired the brothers Karamazov, calling it one of the greatest novels ever written. Friedrich Nietzsche confessed that Dostoevsky was the only psychologist from whom he had something to learn. Even Albert Einstein regarded him as a spiritual writer, one who explored mysteries that science alone could not answer. His ideas live on, not only in literature, but in psychology, philosophy, and modern culture. Today, his works are studied in classrooms, adapted for stage and film, and rediscovered by new generations around the world. Fyodor Dostoevsky died on February 9, 1881, in St. Petersburg, but his voice continues to speak across time. He represents the tormented mind of humanity, forever searching for light in the midst of darkness. His dramatic reprieve from execution became a legend, symbolizing the possibility of rebirth and transformation. More than a Russian novelist, Dostoevsky was a universal voice, exploring suffering, morality, faith, and the resilience of the soul. In a world still wrestling with questions of ideology, empathy, and mental health, his words remain alive and urgent, reminding us of the eternal depth of the human spirit.